What up, though? This is your boy Mike D, host of Wrestling from the 313. And today, got a pro wrestler on the show today. He's currently wrestling in 7 promotions right now. In Illinois, he's wrestling in MCW. He's wrestling in 3 promotions in Wisconsin. No Regrets Wrestling, All Out Pro Wrestling, Brew City Wrestling. In Iowa, he's wrestling in ECPW. End up in Indiana, the Pro Wrestling King promotion, and he is currently the Midwest Gaming Champion. My guest today is Johnny Cass. What up, though? Welcome to the 313.
Thank you for that introduction. That was I gotta be honest with you, that's the coolest introduction that anyone's ever given me so far.
Hey, no problem, man. Just want you to feel welcome on the show, man.
Heck yeah.
No problem, no problem. So, when did you become a wrestling fan?
I became a wrestling fan when I was around 5 or 6, around the time um, I believe SummerSlam 91 had already happened, but it was my dad who went out and rented a VHS tape called SummerSlam 91 and sat down and watched that with them, and ever since then I became hooked.
Sweet, sweet. You know what? I think that was around the time that I became a wrestling fan too. I want to say I was between the age of 3 and 5, but I want to say it was way back in like the early '80s, like the first WrestleMania. That I think I became a fan. I still remember my uncle. One of my uncles was a wrestling fan, and I think he used to buy the VHS tapes, and it was. I remember watching WrestleMania 1. I remember I think they had WrestleMania 2, and I was just hooked on wrestling ever since. Like I still remember watching Saturday Night's Main Event when it used to come on NBC, and I've just seen the evolution of how wrestling has grown through the years, and it's just crazy that it's as mainstream as regular sports. You know what I'm saying? WrestleMania is like one of the top sports entertainment events, like right up there with the Super Bowl and probably like the college football national championship.
Right, right. It is, and it's just from then on too. When I started becoming an avid fan, um, and leaning more into the. I'll admit it. I was hardcore into the WWF back in the day. I knew of WCW. I watched maybe a handful of nitros, due to the fact my dad at the time figured the WCW was more adult oriented than WWF was. But it's, now being an adult myself and realizing and looking back, I mean, it was pretty much kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
Because you had the DX, you had Gold Dust doing his thing on there, and
yeah,
and all that other crazy stuff that's been happening.
yeah. And then it's just like you said, everything was pretty much the same because like WCW was doing their thing with the NWO, and that was kind of like a gang invasion. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And WWE just got a little bit more graphic with it, like you said, with Gold Dust, with DX. You had to think about too, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold was like one of the first wrestlers that made it cool to cuss on wrestling shows. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, just like they were pretty much the same. I think, you know, at the time WWE didn't have like corporate sponsors and stuff like that. So they were pretty much doing whatever they wanted. WCW, owned by Ted Turner, he had a little bit more corporate sponsors.
Right.
So, growing up, who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up when you were watching wrestling, and who are some of your favorites now?
Growing up, I want to say from the golden era, it was Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, and Hogan. They made me believe in real life superheroes.
Uh,
From the Attitude Era, I would say it was definitely the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian. I was a huge fan of the Brood when both, Edge and Christian and the Hardys were a part of that group.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
those, I want to say, around the Attitude Era, when I started getting really heavily obsessive with the WWF around that time, uh, that that is what made me want to become a pro wrestler in the future. And currently, I would say right now, hands down, I would honestly say Kenny Omega. Uh, there's so many. Um, I got to say FTR is great.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and in the WWE, I would say Gunther for damn sure because he's just a powerhouse.
yeah,
And I like Seth Rollins because he stands out way more than the other stars on Raw, and
yeah.
he kind of reminds me a little bit of what Jeff Hardy was, because back in the day Jeff Hardy was different from everybody. You know, he wore the armbands with the holes in it,
Yeah,
and he painted his nails. He had the rainbow colored hair, and then you have Seth Rollins coming out in all this flamboyant style ring attire or whatever in these gigantic shoes or boots, whatever he was wearing.
yeah,
And that's kind of what I like about Seth Rollins is that he makes sure he stands out from everybody else. And
yeah.
real quick, I wanted to throw out TNA as well. And
Okay.
TNA back in like the 2010s, I would say Abyss for sure, Motor City Machine Guns, Beer Money, and Fortune, and ultimately my number one all-time favorite TNA wrestler was Austin Aries.
Okay. That's what's up. Yeah. Yeah. The TNA golden the TNA era, I wish that they would have focused more on those guys instead of now I understand that they had to bring in the WWE guys to kind of like, get that get the fans to draw to watch the shows. But it was like you had a roster, you had Samoa Joe, you had AJ Styles, you had Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns, like Abyss, all those names that you mentioned, and they didn't take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if they took advantage of that then instead of handing things to Hulk Hogan, I think TNA they wouldn't have went through the little downslide that they had went through in the last couple of years.
Right, right, yeah, and one of the most horrible things I think they could ever have done was have Dixie be a part of the on-screen characters. I feel like no disrespect to her or anything, but she couldn't hold her own on TV. It
Yeah,
felt like maybe when she was like addressing the matches or backstage stuff, maybe that would have been okay, but like the on screen live in the middle of the ring, no. It
yeah,
just I actually mentioned that to Andrew Everett, who was in TNA around that time, and he actually agreed with me. He was like, "Yeah, it shouldn't have happened." But yeah, it's other than that though, like TNA in my opinion was great because it stood out. It was different.
yeah, yeah. Because it was like they had the six-sided ring, then they had the Ultimate X match,
Yep,
um, and then even just with the X division, because you would think that the X division was like a cruiserweight division, but it really wasn't because it was just wrestlers with like a fast-paced, high-flying style. Because like Samoa Joe was nowhere the size of like a Christopher Daniels or AJ Styles, and he was one of the greatest X Division champions in that company.
yep.
All right, so what made you want to become a pro wrestler?
It, I've always had an athletic background. It's just unfortunate that I grew up in a family where they couldn't see it. Um, but my classmates and my teachers could see it, and they would always make suggestions. Like well, you should be in some type of athletic sport. But as everybody knows, it does take money to do that kind of thing, which my parents unfortunately did not have at the time. But I just did as much sports as I could outside of school when I was younger. You know, I was very flexible, I was very athletic, and I kept telling myself if I can, still be as athletic as I was back then, that eventually I'm going to try this out to see if I can do this. And I guess I was lucky enough to still be as athletic as I was back when I was younger. Here I am, 35 years old, 2 years in the business now, being able to still move around like I used to be able to back when I was in grade school. I can still do a few high flying moves. I want to work on a lot more things that I know I can perform in the middle of a ring uh, at practice. It's just a matter of when I'm able to uh, get to practice as much as possible to work on myself and my moves. I don't feel like I'm comfortable where I'm at because you can always be better than where you've been previously.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I definitely feel you. I mean, that's how I feel with my with doing this podcast and stuff. I just feel like the more you do it, the more you gonna get better and stuff. So I
Right,
definitely feel still that, and that's good. At 30, 35, still able to do high flying moves and move around like that. That's real good. That just shows that you took care of yourself through the years, and you're blessed to be able to still have that ability.
right, right. And you never in this business. I mean, even with you. I mean, uh, it's always like a learning opportunity for every interview that you have. And for me, it's always a learning opportunity for me when I step into the ring. It doesn't matter with who or where they're from because you get better every single match. You get better with every single interview. Like right now, I'm getting better at doing these type of things online, being interviewed by you and your podcast, and I'm getting more experience. And you never stop learning, and that's the best thing about this business.
Definitely, definitely, yup. And you just keep going and just keep going, keep grinding because you never know who's watching and you never know who's listening. So that's why I always tell myself every time, since I've been doing this and just the little things that's just been happening for me. That's why I just keep telling myself, just keep going because you never know who's listening and watching.
Right.
So like when you first went to wrestling school and started training, like how did it feel? Like the physical part of it.
It was, and this will go for anybody that's watching. If they ever want to go train to be a pro wrestler, um, it's gonna feel well for me. It felt very awkward because I you have to learn how to fall the right way.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like retraining your body how to take falls and bumps, and you know, getting used to landing in ways that you have never landed before. So you don't break your neck, you don't break your arm or your leg, or etc. like that. And the first move I've ever taken in the middle of a ring was a fisherman suplex. And when my trainer gave me that, um, at that moment when he picked me up and then dropped me, he asked me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I got right back up. As soon as he as soon as I landed and he gave me that fisherman suplex, I knew right then and there that this is what I'm going to do. I had just recovered from a serious illness prior to that, actually, and I kind of wanted to see if my body would be able to take all of the beating that I would be putting it through. And Impact Wrestling decided to let me come down to their training facility to run the ropes a little bit, to take a couple of bumps to see if I can handle it. And like I said, right after that fisherman suplex, like everything just felt right. Everything felt great. It just, that's when I was like, sign me up right now. Here's the money. I don't care. I want to, I have to do this.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, what's the easiest and what's the hardest part of being a pro wrestler?
I want to say the easiest part, there really is no easy part being a pro wrestler, because the thing is, you have to make this a dedication. You have to make
Right,
this a
right.
lifestyle. You have to pour hundreds upon thousands of dollars into your character, to try and see what you can do to get him over with the crowd, with the audience, whoever's watching, especially with people that want to buy your merch. So, like, honestly, in my opinion, there's really not an easy part of this. The only easy part that I would say is that when you go to these shows, maybe there might be a big TV name on the card that you can learn from.
Okay.
Um, but other than that, it's like I probably spent within the last 2.5 to 3 years almost, over $10,000, including school. I'm talking school, merch. You got your gear that you have to have custom made. If you really want to stand out from everybody else, I would highly recommend getting your gear custom made to your character and
Okay.
its personality as well. Because if you go onto a site like High Spots and just buy some pre-made stuff on there, that's cool if you're starting out within the first year. But eventually, you're gonna want to get your brand that you've been working on really hard out there for other people to see and let them know who you are. And that's pretty much what I've been doing the last year and a half. And the other year to year and a half, when I first got into this business, I did have some custom gear made because I got a deal on it. Uh, but I was originally just going to get some plain stuff from High Spots, uh, and that was going to be pretty much it. But my maker at the time matched the price, and if I can get a deal like that on something that's going to represent me and who I am a little bit, then I'm going to go with that. And real quick, uh, I want to point out too, as well as anybody that's watching this who's thinking about getting into the wrestling business to be a pro wrestler. I attended a seminar for Shane Douglas about a year. I want to say maybe 2 years ago. I think it was 2022. And one of the best pieces of advice that he gave me and everybody else that was there is that when you're trying to figure out who you want your character to be, is to pretty much sprinkle a little bit of your own personality, just a little bit, in with your character, so you become more comfortable with who that character is.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And like you said, you spent like thousands just on just improving your brand. That's not even including the travel either, because I know the travel with like gas prices now. I know that's probably what another extra 5,000 or something added to that.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. And the thing is too is that I've noticed here in Iowa. I'm not going to name any promotions or guys or promoters, etc., because I respect them all. But it just, in my experience, this is coming from my experience. Um, if you don't get trained at a certain school and you get trained at a different school that isn't really well known, here in Iowa, it just seems like the only shows that they do after they graduate is shows that are around Iowa and Nebraska. And that's fine for the first year, so you can kind of get your reps in.
Mhm.
But when it came to myself, I wanted to branch out and get my brand recognized, not just here in Iowa, but Nebraska, Missouri, Minnesota, Indiana, if I could, Michigan. I want to branch out as much as I can, but you also have to be dedicated as well because like you said, the travel expenses can be pretty ridiculous. And I feel like once you have enough experience out there and wrestling for how many different promotions, especially in different states, you can kind of incorporate um, some of the travel expenses in with your going rates, and they should be more than happy to do that because you're building your brand, you're showing them how serious you are about your character work, your wrestling technique, and dedication, and showing up on time, helping to set the ring up, helping to put the chairs out, um, and as well as when the show's over with, helping to tear the ring down, putting everything away, cleaning up the um, place that you guys wrestled at, and that really does go a long way, not with just character building, but also with showing the other talent and promoters how much you appreciate them, also by them giving you an opportunity. And that's one of the things I always tell the promoters is if they do have me on their show, I always thank them for the opportunity.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. That's what's up. So like your first well, what was the first promotion that you wrestled for and what was your first match like?
First promotion I wrestled for was Impact Pro Wrestling, and this was at a um, like a festival for the town in Collins, Iowa. It's a real small town, and I gotta say, I like it. It didn't go as bad as I thought it was because I thought I was going to be really nervous and something was going to mess up. And the one thing that you have to realize is that you're going to be very, very nervous. And the nerves never, ever, no matter how long you've been in this business, ever go away. And this is coming from veterans and legends that have been in the business for 30
Yeah.
plus years.
Uh,
And they say that if you don't have the butterflies or the nervousness in your stomach before you go out there to perform, you don't belong here. And
that's real.
so for me and for everybody else that I've talked to as well, you're as soon as the nerves start going and you're standing behind that curtain and your music hits and you go out there, you pass that curtain, everything disappears. You're on a whole new level. I'm no longer John Pike. I'm Johnny Katz. And that's myself turned up to 11. And it just hearing the crowd pop and hearing them chant my name and getting them, to, trying to get them to be on my side and everything is it's just an experience I wish everyone would have at least one time in their life, because it truly is one of the best feelings and experiences that I've ever had.
And it seemed like as soon as you go through that curtain, it's just like a big adrenaline rush that hit you, and it's just like everything that you was thinking about behind that curtain before you went out, it just like you said, it just it goes away. And that's what it seemed like when you know what I'm saying, when you hear that pop from the crowd, whether they cheering, whether they booing. Because some wrestlers that are heels, they love getting booed. They get that adrenaline rush from the boos and stuff. So yeah,
Oh,
that's what's up. So was it a big crowd or how big was the crowd?
I I would say the place probably had about 40 to 50 people in there, and this building was small because it was a training facility. It was a school, and it was it was uh, it was an experience for my first being my first time. And as bad as I thought I was after my match, I got praised by a bunch of the fans that were out there that watched it, and kind of made me feel a little bit better about myself. And I realized that you yourself are your own worst judge when it comes to uh, feeling like you did something wrong or something didn't feel right. But as long as you go out there and put on the best show that you possibly can, um, and try not to screw a move up or mess up or misplace your footing, then you should be good. I mean, it's just about trying, and that's one of the things I realized too, because I was asked this previously in another podcast. Um, what's more important, the wrestling aspect or the character aspect? And I said, without a doubt, the character aspect, because Bully Ray himself um, actually got to learn from him for a day,
Oh,
and he taught me a few things in a seminar, and he said that as long as you can get over, then that's the most important thing that you can do for yourself and for your character, because you can. He's like, look at Hulk Hogan. How many moves did he have?
and Hulk Hogan had like maybe two moves, and that
Two
the
or three
move was the
moves. Yep,
leg drop.
yep, yep. And he went on to say, look at John Cena. How many moves did he have? Like
John
three,
Cena had like
three or
three.
four.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's like, as long as you know how to get yourself over with the crowd, and they can get behind you, that's all that matters.
Yep.
I took that to heart, and I hope the other guys that were at the seminar took that to heart too, which I'm sure they did. Um, but yeah, it's that's why I'm thinking, trying to come up with things that I can do or use to get my character over with the audience, and try to either be liked or hated depending on where I'm at and what promotion wants me to be either a heel or a face. Because like I said, it's more important than getting your wrestling over. I mean, if you can, there's very few guys out there that can be in the top 1% that can do the professional wrestling as good as they can get their character over. But at the same time, it's it's character based, and like if you watch AEW, if you watch WWE, especially in today's world, you'll understand what I'm saying and where I'm coming from on that. Because it's not just about wrestling, and wrestling is great. I love it. I grew up with it, of course, like you have, but it's also heavily based on your character.
Yeah.
And if you can get your character over any way, shape, or form, it's like if you were to come up to me and ask me, well, how can I get my character over? Well, I would tell you, I don't know. I can't tell you that. You're going to have to figure that out yourself, because I don't know who your character is.
Yeah.
And that's where the advice from Shane Douglas comes in. Take a little bit of your own personality and sprinkle it in to your character that you want to develop. This way, you can relate more personally to your character that you're making, and the fans will understand. And if the fans understand more, you're going to get over with them, whether you're a babyface or a heel.
That's what's up. So I know you said you been to seminars and with other pro wrestlers. Um, so how are these pro wrestlers like? Because I remember they had the show Tough Enough, and they would have some of the wrestlers come to talk to the wrestlers that's training and stuff, and they would be kind of like no nonsense or whatever. The schools and the seminars you've been to, have those wrestlers been like that too?
No, and I think that's because due to the times changing,
Oh,
especially with the legends in the business, have explained to us when we were doing the seminars. I think I've been to a total of about five or six. I've been to D'Lo Brown, Too Cold Scorpio, Shane Douglas, Bully Ray. Gosh, I guess you could kind of say it wasn't a seminar, but Andrew Everett took the time to talk to me for about an hour or so, just about everything with character development, um, promo development, wrestling basics, also wrestling advanced wrestling moves and stuff like that. Um, but like he pretty much he didn't have to do that because I didn't pay him to do that. He just sat, and I was surprised because he sat down right next to my merch table, just talking with me after my match was over, watching the rest of the show, and he actually wanted to watch one of my promos that I did leading up to EverCon, and I showed him, and he watched it and he critiqued it, and I was very appreciative of that because I understand the importance of constructive criticism. Because if you have someone that tells you that watches your stuff and tells you, "Oh man, that looks good, man. Yeah, keep it up," just because it's what you want to hear, then I mean they shouldn't be giving you advice at all. I would rather have, and I'll tell you what, Bully Ray and Andrew Everett, out of everybody else, all the others are great. Um, but Bully Ray and Andrew Everett were the ones that were straight up and honest about everything, because they both told me things that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear so I can work on myself to get better. And it's sad to say, it's in today's world, everybody's just so sensitive,
Yeah.
and they can't take the truths, the hard truths. I mean, even in the wrestling business, and that's one of the things that I've instilled into myself. I'm always going to be honest. If I hurt your feelings, it is what it is. But I was taught in this business to be straight up and honest with everyone. So, I mean, if I see something that I don't think is right, I'll say something about it. Or if something happens to me and I was wrong, or if I mess something up, I will take ownership of, or I will stand up and admit my wrongdoing. And I mean, that's just how I am and how I was brought up in this business. Not just with going through the standard, academy, but being taught by legends in the business who have validity, who are Hall of Famers, who have the right to be uh, to criticize
Right.
honestly and not just sugarcoat everything. And I would appreciate that more if that was the case in pretty much every school.
Sweet. That's what's up. So this is one thing I was always curious of, like just with wrestling. So I know that, bookers, the promoters and stuff, they, pretty much determine who's gonna win the match, and they run it with the wrestlers in the match or whatever. But like a championship match, when you, because I know you're the Midwest gaming champion, um, how does it feel as a pro wrestler when you win a championship, your first championship or just a championship period?
When you're being told that you're going over on a match that has any type of championship, um, excitement takes over, and it's more than just that. It's a culmination of your hard work and dedication that you've been getting giving into yourself, not just yourself, but your character as well. And when you're told that you're going to be in a championship match and you're the one that's going over, it shows that pretty much says the promoter sees your hard work and he sees your dedication and your willingness and how responsible you are with helping whoever needs help out. And it's a feeling. I can't really describe it to anything else. It's a feeling of accomplishment. There we go. It's a feeling of being accomplished, of something that you've been working on for how long, and then it happens.
That's what's up. Cause always thought about that, like, cause I know that they go over who's gonna win before the actual match, and then it's kind of like they win that championship. You're gonna win it, so it's like when you win it, is it really you know what I'm saying, dude? What do the wrestlers excitement feels like? But like you said, you kind of broke it down. It's like that it's an accomplishment. You put the
Yeah.
work in.
And
And
that's one of the things I want to point out too, is that you have the people out there that will say, oh well, you're booked to win a match already, and you're going to be a championship, and that's, you didn't really win it. You were just given it. And at that point where I feel like I have to explain to them, it's not just that. To be a top champion, to get especially a world champion in any type of promotion, no matter how big or small it is, it's a decision that's based off of how the promoter sees you, how they see, how they see how hard you work in the ring, how hard you work outside of the ring, how you are in the locker room, how you help out, how reliable you are. And it's nobody understands that. And I don't not I'm not going to say nobody. I take that back. I'm sorry. Some people out there don't understand, and that's the best way that I can break it down. Is like, let's say you're a promoter for a wrestling show, right? And
Mhm.
then you're like, hey Johnny, you're going up against our champion, and you're going to be going over, and you're going to become the new world champion for my promotion. You earned it. That right there, were you telling me that is like everything that I've worked for up to this moment
Yeah.
means the world to me,
Yeah.
because I've been busting my ass. I've probably put, no, I put 45,000 miles on my cars since I started wrestling. I've worked two jobs, and I still work two jobs to this day since I started wrestling. I in between those jobs, I have to find at least 2 hours in a day, Monday through Friday. I do take weekends off, um, to work out. And my morning job, I DoorDash. I DoorDash from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 10:30. Then I am from 10:30 to 12:30 to 1 o'clock. I'm working out. I work out at two different places. My full time job has a corporate office with a workout station in the basement, and they allow me to use that. And then when I'm done there, I go to the local YMCA because they have equipment there that they don't have to finish my workouts.
Right.
And I come back to my house to shower, get cleaned up, and get ready to go to my full time job. So I have no time during the day to do anything. I'm a
Yeah.
hardcore gamer. I collect video games. I got games over here. I have a wall of games.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've been collecting games since I want to say I was sophomore in high school, and I can't. I have an Xbox Series X. I have a PS5. I used to be on that stuff all the time, but and I'm dedicated to wrestling. And I can't remember when the last time I actually sat down and enjoyed a video game. And, on the weekends too, I got two kids. And I every other weekend I'm a father, and then when I'm not a father on the following weekend, I'm traveling to wrestling shows because I'm booked.
Yeah.
And the reason why I also post, I try to post as much as I can on my social medias, especially in the gym. And the reason why I do that is because I want to show the fans, the promoters, the talent, that I am putting a lot of work into myself, that
That's
I
what's
am getting better at what I want to achieve and what I do. And I'm seriously dedicated to professional wrestling. And if you give me the chance, I will prove to you how good I can be.
that's what's up. Hey, you said it well right there. You definitely broke it down. So out of all the shows that you've wrestled at, the promotions and stuff, who are some of the top names that wrestled on the shows you wrestled on?
Who are some of the top names that wrestled on the show that I was on?
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. We had. The George, what was it? The Luthez and excuse me. I forget what the I have a brain fart right now, but it's Luthez and George some Tragos. There we go. George Tragos Hall of Fame Wrestling
Okay.
um, weekend that we have every year in Waterloo. And you had Mike Bennett on the card. You had Wes Briscoe, Jerry Briscoe, um, Too Cold Scorpio. Uh, I didn't wrestle any of those guys, but they were on the same card. I
Okay.
still have yet to wrestle any big names, um, but I'll get there eventually when I feel like I earned that spot. And gosh, Bully Ray was on a card. Well, I wasn't there for the show, but I was there for his seminar. Um,
All right.
Andrew Everett, and I have a show upcoming next Saturday actually, where it's featuring Leva Bates, Rekka Taka, I think her name is, and Sue Young. So that's going to be kind of
Okay.
cool.
Ooh, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, what are some of your dream matches? Like, once you still get out there, um, who are some guys that you would like to step in the ring with?
Uh, I'll go with three guys because I don't want to get into this too much. But unfortunately, if I could, I would love to have wrestled Jeff Hardy, of course. He's always been my number one favorite from the Attitude Era, as well as the Hardy Boys. Uh, but I don't think that'll happen. But you never know. You never know in this business. Um, let's see, that would be number three. Number two would be, gosh, I would like to wrestle TJP or TJ Perkins, as he was
Yeah,
known.
he used to be Suicide.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Uh,
He was another guy that I met who was really cool. Um,
okay.
yeah, just because of his style, I think my style and his style would mesh really well, and we could put on a hell of a match. And the number one person I would love, absolutely love to face is Austin Aries.
Yeah, yeah. Austin Aries. What promotion is he wrestling in now?
I believe he isn't really signed anywhere. He's just out in
Okay.
the Indies right now. Um, but what's really cool is that I have actually been in talks with him on social media about trying to see, like, when is he going to be coming like close here, or if he's doing any seminars. And I guess in the future, within a few months from now, he'll be um, around the Illinois area. So I'm hoping whoever has him will have a seminar, because that's one of the people I really want to work with. And the one thing too that I was taught um, by Shane Douglas is that when it comes to seminars, be very careful on who you choose uh, to do seminars with, because 80 to 85% of the time they're out there just to do a quick cash grab.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that these people that you're doing seminars with um, have validity to a certain degree, to where they've been on TV for how long, because you have to look at how long they've been there for, if they've been a champion before, how they were used, and their attitudes.
That's what's up. So, would you like to wrestle in the pros one day, or would you like to stay independent? Because I know there have been wrestlers that have been wrestling years in the independents and they're comfortable with it. And then, you have those guys that are in the independent that want to eventually make it to WWE or AEW or TNA. What about you?
I would love of course, like everybody else, I would love a shot to eventually down the road, when I feel like I'm ready, uh, to wrestle for one of the bigger promotions. But at this time, I mean, even in the future, like if this is all I'm doing in the independent scene, I'm comfortable with it. I feel like I've been slowly getting myself over wherever I go, with how I represent Johnny Cass and the brand Johnny Cass. And I feel like he's been relating to everyone, within kids to adults to even to the elderly, with just how flashy he is and how what's the word I'm looking for? How relatable he can be to other people. Because I've been there. I've been where those people have been. I've stood out. I've been a standout my whole life. I've been bullied. I've been called numerous names. I've been called a nerd. I've been told to get a life. I've been told I'm never going to be successful at anything that I'm going to do or set out for in life. But look where I'm at right now. Look what
Yep.
I'm doing right now.
Yep.
Look ahead to my future. What do you see? I see myself standing somewhere, possibly in the mainstream,
Yep.
with my brand that I made, that you told me wasn't going to be anything, that was going to be a failure.
That's right. That's what's
That's
up.
and honestly, it's the Midwest Gaming Classic where Johnny Cass was born,
Okay.
because they gave me an opportunity to be something, to take their championship and make it mean something. And that's why I've been carrying this belt around my waist and on my shoulder for the last 4 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the show coming up in April 5th through the 7th in Milwaukee, that every show that they have, it gets bigger and better. It means more to me because of the passion that I have for the Midwest Gaming Classic. Because in my opinion, gaming and wrestling go hand in hand.
Yeah.
If you look at it from my perspective for a second, and understand where I'm coming from when I say this, professional wrestling is pretty much, and this is coming from Johnny Cass, is a live action role playing game.
Yep.
Now you're some of the people are kind of like are probably going to be like, what are you talking about? It's not a video game. Of course, it's not a video game. That's why I said live action role playing game, because you have to get your character from scratch. You have to build your character from the ground up. And if you know what an RPG is, role playing game,
Yeah.
it's the same concept, because you have to create your character. You have to give your character a name, a look,
Yep.
and then you're starting out at a rookie level, and you have to level that character up. The more
Mm-hmm.
you level up, the more moves you unlock, the more fans you get, the more popular you can get, the
Yeah.
more your name's going to get out there,
Yep.
the more you're going to be wanted by other promotions to help get them over, as well as getting yourself over, as well as the talent. And it's the same aspects as as if it were a live action role playing game.
That's what's up. So real quick, tell us a little bit about the Midwest Gaming Classic.
The Midwest Gaming Classic is not just a gaming convention. It's more than that. It's more. It's gosh, they have everything that you can think of. You have, of course, there's going to be games, board games, video games, console games, arcade games, tabletop games. I don't think I mentioned card games. If I did, I'm sorry. Um,
That's cool.
but they have uh, YouTubers come to that show and talk with fans of theirs, and people that haven't even ever heard of them, and they let them know who they are, what they're about. They have uh, events that go on there with cosplay, like I don't want to say concerts, but they have bands come and play there. They have artists, sketch artists, people that have been in the industry for like Disney or Fox, and you can meet those guys, as well as Phil Moore from Nick Arcade from back in the day.
Oh,
He's actually going to be there too, and they're hosting like a Nick Arcade style / Midwest Gaming Classic um, game show,
oh,
um, as well as they like to kind of bring back a little bit of nostalgia from the gaming era of the 80s and 90s, where they're going to have like a world of Nintendo section to where once you walk through the door, it's almost like you're walking through a time capsule. And
ooh,
everything you can think of, like these guys have sealed original Nintendo games, sealed Super Nintendo games, Game Boy games, systems, all that stuff. And also, like they have meet and greets with celebrities that come to this event. Um, it's just something for everyone. You don't even have to be a gamer to go to this event. You can just go to get out and do something, and you never know what's going to pique your interest because they have so much to offer other than just gaming. It's just an experience that you won't ever want to miss out.
that's what's up. So I know you said that you're a gamer and you don't play as much as you did. What type of games do you play?
I like action adventure games that includes some aspects of RPGs.
Okay.
I don't like heavy RPGs because it's too time consuming, and I don't like doing the same thing over and over again to grind my character up to get into the next level.
Yeah,
But also, I'm a big sports gamer too.
too.
I like the football games, the baseball games, basketball games, wrestling, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but my heart truly lies at the games that I grew up with, just because that was my escape from the reality that I was being brought up in, and I mean, I could play those games over and over again and never get sick of them, just because those games were there for me when I was going through bad times, and it's just the memories that I had with them, along with my brothers.
That's what's up. Yeah, me. Yeah, I'm more of a sports fan. I like the sports games, Madden, 2K, NHL. I'm so ready for that college football to drop this summer. Um, I definitely love the wrestling games. I got it. I haven't grabbed that 2K24 yet. I've read about it and seen some of the videos. The graphics and stuff look good on it, but I'm just still pissed that they're not doing nothing with universe mode like that. And that's a whole nother topic for another show. But yeah, somebody at 2K need to send me to their office because we need they. I got some ideas for universe mode that they need to do something with it because it feel like it's the same thing from when they were when THQ was making their games.
Right, right.
So
And
were you heavy on the wrestling games or you just kind of played those periodically?
I was very, especially on the PS1 era, like growing up, like WWF Attitude and WWF. There was Attitude, and then I think it was
Uh,
WWF Raw is War.
or
Every
I think
single
so.
time I would, every single time I would play those games, I would create a new character just for the fun of it,
Yeah,
and for the laughs. So, like I played the hell out of those games, and then when I saw SmackDown came out, I remember begging and begging and begging and begging and begging my parents just to at least rent it, and they finally did. And I lost a Friday, Saturday, a whole Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just doing nothing but playing that game.
hey, I used to be the same way. And then I used to love the wrestling games on Nintendo 64. WCW versus NWO Revenge, and they had one on PlayStation, WCW versus the World. Then they had the Nitro games and the Thunder games. Those WCW games, the ones that they did for PlayStation, I didn't care too much for those.
No, they were, in my opinion, they were horrible. But I
Yeah,
love the fact how WCW also partnered with THQ for the
yeah,
N64 to make their games. the same way, the same style as the WWF games back in the day,
Yeah,
because it's like it was the same game, just different wrestlers and branding. That's it.
yeah. Because WWF had dropped WrestleMania 2000, and then they had No Mercy.
Hmm.
But I think they said No Mercy was like one of the best wrestling games of all time. But I think when I had it, it had a bunch of glitches. So it was just like every time I would play it, it was just something was always wrong with it. That's the one thing I remember about that. But like the games that they had on PlayStation, like uh Raw, Warzone. I think Warzone was the first one because Stone Cold was on the cover.
Yep.
And then I think that's when they did WWF Raw, and that was like the red cover or whatever with all the wrestlers. And then the SmackDown series, like the SmackDown series started it all. You know what I'm saying? And just to see where wrestling games are now from where they started, not just on PlayStation, but like on Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and to see like it's like you playing the game with real people. Like they look, the graphics are so real now. It's just crazy,
Yep.
and just everything that they're adding to the game is just making it realistic, like you watching it on TV, and it's just amazing how not only just the evolution of wrestling and how it's evolving and it's changing, but just with the video games as well.
Right on. Yeah, it's just it's amazing with how far gaming has come, and can't wait to actually see where it's going to be in the future. Because it's like, well, if this is as good as it can get for now, what are we going to be in store for 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel you. Well, Johnny, I appreciate you stopping by the show. Is it anything that you want to plug or any shows upcoming that you want to put out there?
Yeah. So I actually have a request, real quick. Hold on.
All right.
Nobody at the Midwest Gaming Classic behind the scenes has any clue that I'm going to be doing this, so I figured I'd do something different out of the box on your podcast.
Okay.
And when this gets released, I'll share it on my social medias, and I'll tag them. I'm officially right now going to be calling this person out to see if they would be willing to be my announcer for my championship match.
Okay.
This would mean the world to me and would check off a bucket list item. Are you familiar with NBA Jam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Check that out.
Oh, snap.
So,
Oh, that's sweet.
Tim Kitzrow, the voice of NBA Jam. Yeah, I'm talking to you. This is the Midwest Gaming Classic champion, Johnny Caps, the player one. I'm asking you if you will be my personal ring announcer for April 6th at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I feel like that would be the most awesome thing that has ever been done in my career so far, and it would be an honor for you to have you announce me out to my way to the ring.
Hey, that would be sweet. Hey, you know what? When we put this episode out, we definitely gonna put that word out there, try to help you out, and any additional information you want to send me on that, just send it to me, and we'll get it out there for you. You know, I talk to other podcasters or whatever, and they'll help you out.
All right, man. Yeah, and the Midwest Gaming Classic, like if anybody's going to be going there this year, they are in for a real treat, a real surprise. I can't reveal anything at all. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff happening with Johnny Cass and the Midwest Gaming Classic. This is going to be a can't miss show. Um, you got video games, you got tabletop games, arcade games, any type of games you can think of, they have. This is going to be not just a way to get out for a weekend, but an ultimate experience for anybody that decides to go and It's especially on the wrestling side, you are not going to want to miss this. It's going to be very special. I promise you.
And you said that's April 6th, right? WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of sucks about it. But I mean, if anyone is in the Milwaukee area that can go there, I mean, I'm pretty sure our show will be on way before WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
But if anyone's in the Milwaukee area that hasn't checked out the Midwest Gaming Classic, please do so. You're missing out on an amazing experience. Plus, we got wrestling as well, and you're not going to want to miss that. Like I said, a lot of behind the scenes stuff been happening with Johnny Cass and the Midwest Gaming Classic, and you're not. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss this.
Sweet, definitely. That's what's up. So we'll definitely put the information down in the description on this video when we put it out on YouTube. And once again, I'll put it out on Facebook, and I'll tell other podcasters to, spread the word for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. And this is the end of another episode of Wrestling from the 313. I am your host, Mike D. This is my guest, Johnny Cass. We are out of here. Holla at you soon. Peace.